The dinner party disaster, when my husband turned steak night into a comedy of errors. Full wife story. Part 3, the steak hit the window with a loud thud and slowly slid down. I was stunned. My husband often did dumb things, but usually, I could at least understand his thought process. This time, I was utterly dumbfounded. He stared back at me, horrified by what he had just done. I barely had time to react before my boss re-entered the room, undoubtedly drawn by the noise. Panic flushed through me. I thought briefly about helping him out of this mess, but decided he could lie in the dumbshit bed he had made. When my boss saw the steak on the windowsill, we all froze in the most awkward silence I've ever experienced. My husband, now pale, tried to mutter something about being a klutz and even looked to me for backup. I left him to flounder in the silence. He made a weak attempt to clean the window and retrieve his steak, while my boss mercifully asked me a work-related question, allowing us to shift the conversation away from the disaster. The rest of the evening was spent pretending he wasn't there, a sort of unspoken agreement to avoid any further awkwardness. As soon as we got to the car, my husband turned into a nervous chatterbox, trying to explain himself. Apparently, he didn't like his steak rare and thought the window was open. His solution? Throw the steak out of the third-story window. A year later, my boss hosted a Christmas party at her newly built home, and this time, I brought my best friend Jenny as my plus one. In hindsight, the whole steak-throwing incident became something we could laugh about, especially after my husband shared his perspective online, and it became a popular story. While I may have played up the dumb shit angle, it's important to note that this moment doesn't define my husband. He's a fun-loving, kind man who occasionally acts without thinking things through. This incident, though shocking at the time, is just one of those stories we can laugh about now. Everyone has their quirks, and this is one of his.